Hey, so we're doing things differently today, as you can tell considering it isn't 1 p.m. on a Thursday. Um, so 2 days ago, the channel slash group known as the Super Best Friends Play disbanded. The reason they gave was because Pat and Matt, the two that really started this whole thing, weren't really friends anymore, and that doing videos became less and less fun until they decided to just drop it entirely, with the three of them mainly focusing on their own channels and personal endeavors currently. It's odd. It's odd to think that an active channel that's been around for 9+ years isn't going to be producing content anymore, but I think we all go into a YouTube channel knowing that it's not going to, last forever. At some point, the creator or creators are just going to either get tired of the whole thing or they just get old and, can't really do it anymore. But I decided that as a bit of a tribute and a little bit of a soapbox to try and get some things off my chest, I wanted to talk about the Super Best Friends, but not in my normal style, not like a script, I just have a general outline of what I want to talk about. And I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna gab, and that's just gonna be what it is. So, to start off, I found out about the Super Best Friends like how a lot of other people did by their machinima videos. I wasn't subscribed to machinima, but due to when you were in middle school or high school and you just searched for just random stuff, you just clicked on anything that seemed like it'd be interesting. Yeah, this led me to eventually finding out about Sandy Not Included, the whole Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged thing back when that whole originally started. Well, one of these things was the Two Best Friends Play, which, it was Pat and Matt originally, and it was just they would play some game for a bit, and then they cut out the not so real good bits and just left in all the fun bits. If memory serves, I think the first machinima video that I ever watched them play was Persona 4. I'm almost certain it was, because it was also around this time that I had been made privy to Two Snacks and the MLP animations that he made based off of these episodes, which, led me to this. So over time that I would just randomly go, oh, I wonder if they made any new videos, because I wasn't subscribed to machinima and never did. Just that whatever goes on that channel was never really anything that ever interested me too much. So I would just periodically, after a couple months, it's just oh, I wonder if they've done any new episodes, and it would be oh, they did Slender, The Arrival, or Remember Me, or Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy is Dead. Which, God, yeah, just going on from there. And then it wasn't until they did the episode on Xenoblade Chronicles X that by that time they rebranded themselves as the new Super Best Friends Play, which Woolie and Liam were eventually added onto the crew. So after watching their Xenoblade video, I decided that I was going to go to their actual channel and, just see what they ended up doing on their own. So I ran down the playlists, see if anything piqued my interest. And the first Let's Play I ended up watching from them, the first full Let's Play ended up being No More Heroes 2. And then later, actual No More Heroes, where it was just Matt playing. Then it just, it spiraled from there, basically. Went on to watch Pat and Woolie play I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I eventually stumbled upon the Dark Souls 2 playthrough that Pat and Woolie did, where that was basically my entry into the Souls series, because I originally had just heard that these games are super difficult and you'll never be able to beat them, and I never really heard anything else besides that, and that on its own didn't really sound interesting enough to me, so I never really looked into it. But then I watched their playthrough and I was like, okay, yeah, I can get into this. And I ended up, now I'm a Souls person. Not like deep into it, I mainly play for the gameplay, but still. Yeah, from then on, it's just like I was a subscriber, watched like a plethora of their playthroughs, Until Dawn. It's still going back to see their old stuff and like catching up with all the new things. Ended up learning about all sorts of wacky games that I had never heard of, like D4, which introduced me to Swery as a producer / director dude. There's also Metal Wolf Chaos, which I'm sure we're all acquainted with that. Even like little things like Devil's Third, which like made me see that game is actually pretty good in terms of gameplay, but has a lot of technical issues that may bog it down for a lot of people. And then there were like, the garbage can fires like Beyond Two Souls and Afro Samurai 2. But yeah, then they ended up playing Undertale, which is, if you saw my my Undertale video, that's how I was introduced to the game. Yeah, things just kept going on from there. Just kept watching all their playthroughs, like periodically would like skip some if they like didn't immediately scream out to me. Then if I just had nothing else to do, then I would just like go back and watch it and end up really liking it. And that kept going until December 2016. I forget what the date actually was. I think it was the 23rd. Liam, the fourth member, basically announced that he was going to be leaving, leaving the group. And this was during the time where he and Woolie were playing through Mega Man X Command Mission, which was a game that I really, really enjoyed, and was the first Mega Man game I ended up playing when I was younger. Even now, I still haven't really played too many Mega Man games, but that's also a fun thing. I played like every single RPG Mega Man, but not really any of the platformers, which is always like, it's just the funniest thing to me. But yeah, that was like the big bombshell, I guess, for a lot of people. It's like we lost one of the best friends, and it was just a period where it didn't seem like really anybody knew how to handle it, because I think a little bit afterwards, Matt ended up having to drop out due to some like thing. I forget what it was entirely, but yeah, but he had to like take a break from everything, and everybody was just like, oh man, what's happening to the channel? What's gonna happen? Is everybody gonna break up? And then Matt came back when it was time to do Resident Evil 7, and it seemed like everybody was getting back into the groove of things. From then on, it was just business as usual, got some playthroughs in there. And then came the news 2 days ago, December the 16th, that the Best Friends Aibatsu, as they called it, was going to disband, and that all three of them were just going to be doing their own things. And I guess in a form of hindsight, Liam leaving was the first clue that things may have not been going too well on the friendship side or the business side. But I think that a big factor, another big factor into the eventual disbanding of the group, was that all the three of them were really doing like their own stuff, like on their own channel. Like Woolie had Woolie Versus, where he talked about really anything that plagued his mind. And most recently, he's like started doing a series about Kirby lore. Matt did a Prince of Persia retrospective, as well as, like, you know, streams and occasionally looking back at old Wii games known as his Wii Remember show. I found out that, like, at least Matt was doing that stuff for a while. And even had, like, a big gangbuster, almost, I think it was, like, an actual 2-hour video with Matt and Liam going through all of the WiiWare games before, like, that store all but shut down. And Pat had his Pat Streams That stuff. So, another big thing that I can see that could have been, like, a big, you know, hindrance on keeping the main channel going was that they clearly wanted to do, like, their own things on their own personal channels. So, you know, I don't know. I have never talked to any of these people. But besides the whole thing of just them falling out as friends, it could have been also that could have, hindered the business side of things, possibly. That's speculation at that point. One big factor that really hit me is, like, I realized that's, like, we're not gonna get any of these types of videos anymore with the three of them, or, you know, any guests that they end up collabing with, was that every Friday or Saturday or sometimes Wednesday afternoon they would do a show called Friday Night Fisticuffs. And it was through that show that I ended up, it was like another gateway type of thing. Like, they already, like, let me know about stuff like Binary Domain and, you know, the other stuff I mentioned previously. But until I had, like, found this, like, their original channel, I wasn't big into fighting games in the slightest. Like, I played, you know, Street Fighter Alpha 3 and Toe Ball and stuff like that growing up, but I was never really good at them. I didn't really understand them, really. And then it wasn't until I saw their fisticuffs on Street Fighter Third Strike that I really, like, understood a lot about, like, what the appeal of fighting games were, how they really worked, and how I could, like, try and get better at them. And, you know, things just kept going from there. And alongside all their other playthroughs, I was watching, you know, their fisticuff stuff. And then one of their fisticuffs rang out to me because they did a fisticuffs on a game called Under Night and Birth EXE Late. And I couldn't even remotely tell you about why. But watching that video, seeing that game in action, like, rang out to me. To the point that, like, next day, I was at a GameStop, picked up that game, and just played it, like, a week, basically. And that, alongside, like, its, like, revision that came out earlier this year, Under Night Latest, that's my favorite fighting game. Just its general look, aesthetic, and its gameplay just rang out to me so much. And I would have probably never had stumbled upon that game if it wasn't for these guys. So that's another big factor in it, that these guys made me privy to a lot of games that I love nowadays. That a lot of games I probably never would have tried if I hadn't seen them touch it. I think on that note, I guess I can also bring up some of my favorite playthroughs that they end up doing, because I routinely would go back and rewatch other Let's Plays, even though I knew all the jokes that they were going to tell. I just, like, genuinely enjoy these playthroughs, and a big factor into why I absolutely love these playthroughs particularly is because of how the commentary and just the general energy that is in these playthroughs. Games like Beautiful Joe and Until Dawn and Mirror's Edge, those are the types of games those are the types of playthroughs, that I absolutely love rewatching, because whether it's Pat and Woolie, or it was, you know, all three of them at that point. Or it was just Pat and Matt. You also throw in Resident Evil 7 into there as well. It's just how genuinely they enjoy the game. How genuinely they are just excited, gleeful even, to be just playing the game and showing it off to like their subscribers and fans. And I absolutely enjoy that. If there's nothing more that I enjoy about watching a playthrough or just anybody's take on any video game or any form of media on the internet, it's when I can actually hear how giddy they are in talking about something, how much they enjoy the fact that they get to say everything they've always wanted to about one of their favorite things ever. And I absolutely love that. And even for playthroughs where they aren't constantly gushing, even playthroughs where it's just they know so much about the game in question that they just love talking about it, and just talking about like mechanics and stuff to try and get more people into it, like the Devil May Cry stuff. I had no idea about half of the mechanics that they brought up in even just the first game. So that gave me a whole new way to even play that series. And even just like them, Pat and Woolie, just excitedly talking about how dumb God Hand is. Just stuff like that. Or Pat, Matt, and Woolie, and them playing Shadow of the Colossus, and then just losing themselves in that, just how amazing that game is, and how like the HD remaster, the HDer remaster, is like a good way for people nowadays to like go back and play that game. Like, just stuff like that. I love the genuineness of a lot of their playthroughs. And that's what makes those, like, one of my personal favorites. Even stuff down to their fisticuffs, even. Where there's, like, a plethora of games that they clearly enjoy the fact that they're playing. Like, again, Third Strike. And even if there's games that they didn't even know they would enjoy playing just because of how dumb they are, like Dong Dong Never Die, or how Pat initially was like on a game like Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax, but then got really into it when they saw what they did with Akira. Like, just stuff like that. And I always just genuinely enjoyed things like that. Another example of them really losing it over a fighting game was Hyper Dragon Ball Z, and how they were all marveling at how the sprite work of that game was phenomenal. It's just, yeah, I've said it like 3 times now at this point. I just enjoy the genuineness of these people that just clearly have a passion for gaming and just love every moment of trying to talk about or even bring to attention all the type of games that they end up enjoying or liking. And honestly, even now, I get like a knot in my throat when I think about how there are other playthroughs that maybe they were just kind of phoning it. That they were really pushing the whole adrenaline, energy type of thing just to like make an entertaining video, but behind the scenes, they were like not really feeling it. And, you know, again, there's no real way to say at what point it all started, because, you know, they didn't really get too deep into the details, but it's just unfortunate just to hear that friends at any point in time just stop talking to each other. I think the main thing that hits me so much about this whole ordeal is that it had to happen at a time where I had messed up a friendship between somebody. You guys who've hung around in the Discord before it got deleted and like watched any of the streams I did on Twitch, or even some of the E3 like low effort content streams that I did here on YouTube, you may know Logan, or Ricochet Frame, as he is on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. and like, basically what it bogged down to was that I was a selfish fuckwit, to put it bluntly. And me and my dumb mouth that couldn't stop thinking about himself for 2 fucking minutes to even acknowledge what I was saying, and basically what it amounted to was that I made one of the biggest mistakes in my life. And because of that, now I've lost somebody that put so much of his time. He wasted so much time, so much of his efforts on me. And all I did was squander it. I'm sure to him, it just seems like I just tossed him aside. I hate that. I hate the fact that I did that. Because I messed up one of the best friends I'd even had at that point. This was somebody that genuinely wanted the best for me in every which way and wanted to help out in any way he could, and I didn't. I stupidly didn't even realize this until it was already too late. And this is why the whole best friends thing rings so strongly to me. Because even though I've never met any of these guys, the years that I've watched them just playing video games, something as simple as that, it made me feel like I actually knew these people as people, not just entertainers. And to hear that they're breaking up due to just a falling out between 2 friends, and how that relates to my whole situation, how much I've fucked up over the years, it just rings real close. So in the description, you'll find links to Pat, Matt, Woolie, and Liam's personal channels, their Twitches, and their Twitters. Go there and, follow them if you want to. They do some real great stuff, especially Matt's series of What Happened. I feel like that's a series where Matt really can spread his wings and show his creative muscles. Woolie still does his periodic Let's Plays and Kirby lore and other types of fighting game related videos, and he's starting to stream now. Pat's always just been streaming. Liam's always been streaming. But also in the description, you can find a link to Logan's Twitter and his Twitch. And his YouTube channel, to which he posts like archives of all of his streams. And you should go give him some attention. Because honestly, he deserves it way more than me. Honestly, all of these people deserve more attention than me. But either way, that's pretty much all I've wanted to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.